Secretary Kendall, I apologize in advance if you've touched on this, because I think I heard you engaging with Mr. Banks as I was coming in the room about divestment. I have more questions about the divestment. As you're aware, in last year's NDAA, the Senate blocked the divestment of 42 A-10 aircraft. It's my understanding, and that's what I want to get your thoughts on, the inability to divest of those A-10s would potentially prohibit the bed down of F-35 squadrons at Tyndall. I don't know if those decisions were linked or not, but with a couple of questions regarding the A-10s. Did the inability to divest those A-10s last year have implications on the Air Force's fifth generation fighter capability?
It has, and we're still trying to figure out how to react to that. The maintainers who were doing the A-10s that we had planned to retire were going to be retrained and go to F-35s. Okay. And now, because they still have to do A-10, we're not able to do that. There are several hundred people that are affected by this, so we're trying to find another solution to that problem.
Okay. Well, what is the status currently of the bed down of the F-35 squadrons at Tyndall?
I think it's on hold until we can resolve this problem. Chiquita, do you have any?
Yeah, we're going to have to delay a little bit because it's about, if I have my numbers correct, it's about 950 maintainers that was in the plan from last year to make that transition. So we are, as the Secretary described, looking at some other options on how we, harvest the 950 maintainers that would actually get this back on track.
And as was mentioned earlier, that's not an instant flip of the switch. Will those be A-10 trained personnel that will be switching over to the new platform, or?
It's a combination, and it's a matter of, as our airmen PCS and move, we'll have experience levels, and we'll be able to move some of those airmen. Some of them will come from where they work on A-10, they may come from other airplanes, but it's being able to move those airmen around, but having the flexibility is the key part, to be able to have them available to transition from one aircraft to the other. Roger
that, thanks. Secretary Kendall, continuing on this divestment theme, this year's proposed budget calls for the divestment of 33 F-22s, which, as I think my math's right, about a sixth of the total F-22 fleet. We all know how important fifth-gen fighters are to our great power competition that we're trying to re-equip for, coming out of 20 years in the Gulf. But can you expand on the potential implications of this divestment of fifth-gen aircraft, which we don't have enough of already?
That's essentially an efficiency move for us. We're taking out the Block 20, the oldest F-22s. They're less combat capable and would not probably be employed against a high-end threat. It would cost prohibitively to upgrade them, about $50 million per aircraft. And they're used for training now. And what we can do is we can substitute fully combat capable aircraft and use them for training with the ability to deploy those aircraft if we needed to. So it's going to be an efficiency saving that will not significantly impact our combat capability.
Okay. But we're still re-winging Vietnam-era aircraft that clearly aren't going to play a role in a war against some of these potential adversaries. Okay, so that answers that question. Are there any other legacy aircraft divestments that could allow us to continue funding and flying these? And you're saying it's cost prohibitive. It's really not. If you had the money, you'd invest it somewhere else besides these aircraft. So there's nothing you could do software-wise or anything. The airframes themselves are just too far gone to make it worthwhile, even in a training capacity.
I'm supporting the budget that we requested. Quite frankly, though, if I had more money to spend in the Department of the Air Force, it might not go to airplanes at all. It might go to things like munitions, electronic warfare, and information security.
Well, it's been an age-old problem of trying to fight like you train like you fight. It's hard as a fifth-generation fighter to go out and train. We don't want to use these frontline assets to train against one another and expend them in that sense. What role do you see, or do you see a greater role for using virtual and augmented reality on training ranges to try to avoid putting hours on these airframes that are so critical?
Well, we want to train our F-22 pilots on the same aircraft they actually would use in combat. So this will improve their training in that regard. But we do try to do a mix of simulators as well as live training to get the optimal mix from a cost-effectiveness point of view.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.